What I'm describing, by the way, is the international gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things we talked about in this month's newsletter, and it was actually a point that after I wrote the first draft of the lead article for this month's newsletter, Dexter turned to me and said, "Dude, it would be really great if you just showed the interest rate differentials of the major central banks, and then comment on why that's a weird thing. Like, why does that arbitrage between these central banks? Why do these carry trades even exist?
Right.
And then you start asking yourself, oh, these are political decisions. These are not economic decisions. They're sold to us as economic decisions, but all the economics is bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or is it horse shit? Or is it cow shit? Or is it duck shit? I can't remember. I have to go back and check the chart of what type of shit is,
Mm-hmm.
So I tweeted that one out the other day. I was like, oh, that one's good. I like that one. I should bookmark that as opposed to just leave it in my timeline. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like, this is
on this.
Sure.
This is like a gold settled, or like every country using their own currency but settling in gold, right? Is this essentially what we're talking about?
Settling trade imbalances in gold and
right,
and allowing and eventually,
because
what would happen over the course of time is that everybody would normalize around whatever we the people who actually make up the economy decide what the cost of capital should be, and then everybody's interest rates would rise and fall relative to the demand for the price of gold.
And every country then has to manage their currency against gold,
right?
And if they're fiscally irresponsible, they pay the price internally.
Right.
And then their people suffer and their people overthrow their government. And
or we all just eventually move back to some form of Bitcoin/gold environment where the entirety of the central bank network is fully decentralized.
Right.
And, and all we have are private loans and all this. And we get back to effectively an armed society as a polite society, because everybody's armed with the ability to remove their reserves and go, you know what? No, I'm not leaving my money in your bank anymore. That's what a bank run is. A bank run is literally the Second Amendment in financial form.
Yeah. Great point.
I just thought of it. So, there, use it as you will. It literally just came out of my head.
So when it's on a Byte t-shirt, don't sue us.
Go for it. I don't care. I don't need credit on these things, dudes. I gave up that shit ages ago. I just want good ideas to promulgate into the zeitgeist. If they're true, they'll come back. And then when somebody reflects it back at me, go, the douche you say. That's cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. And then we move on. I don't give a crap.
Yeah. We'll put a little by Tom Luongo on the bottom.
Again, I don't even care. Again, I sincerely do not even care. And I mean that because ultimately there's always another good meme or another good idea or another good bon mot just right around the corner. If you're engaged and you're doing work, right, that's vital and valid, like it's going to get, you're going to get that, it's going to come back to you.
It's going to come back to you.
It's what's important is that you uncover truth, you make it pithy, you make it interesting, and then you give it to people to inspire them to promulgate it and then act accordingly. That's our goal. I don't need credit on this. Well, fuck credit. Like credit is irrelevant. Like we got a world to save here. Fuck that.
Yeah, right. We do have a world to save. Speaking of saving the world, That leads right into my next question, which, when we think about society today, there's so much depression, nihilism. I mean, you coined the phrase, or you said here, the demoralization campaigns, right? This is, and as a mechanism by which to control or direct or steer society.
Yes.
Transhumanism is in that mix.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of us as Bitcoiners started from this perspective of like just a complete despair, complete lack of hope that we are going to dig out of this hole until we found Bitcoin. Sure. And, for somebody like you came to this through libertarianism, Austrian economics. You probably got some hope by seeing that potential future. Bitcoin delivered that message to a whole new crop of humans.
To me, I just wasn't willing to listen to it when I thought about it. When I first saw Bitcoin back in 2010, I thought, cool. Now if they can, if everybody else sees what I see, we're in great shape. I just didn't believe it.
Right. Didn't believe it
I mean,
would
my
come to
despair,
fruition.
my cope, my schizophrenia, the way I put it in the article that because I talked about this in this month's newsletter, like directly about depression and about the ennui and like how Philip K. Dick saw it all in half of the books that are up here on my bookshelf behind me. And when you read books like The 36 Matter of Palmer Eldritch or Martian Time Slip or Flow My Tears, no, not Flow My Tears. That's actually a book about what happens when a narcissist is actually, given this comeuppance, which is also a book worth reading. But when you read those books and you really internalize what he was talking about, even back in the 60s, he was talking about the world we now inhabit. And it takes many forms. And one of them for me was the raw skepticism of Bitcoin even becoming a thing. And it's not because I didn't see the value. And I read the white paper and went, boom. I was telling Marty Bent this yesterday. I was like, I just had Marty on the podcast last night, and I'll put it out in a couple of days. We were talking about this very thing. And, I said, by the time I saw Bitcoin, I was already an alternative currency veteran. I already watched e-money blow or e-gold blow up. I was there at the Liberty Dollar. I own Liberty Dollar. I still have freaking silver certificates from those guys, right? I have a couple 100 ounces of silver of those freaking things. I can, and then I know and I was an affiliate. I was getting silver for $4 a freaking ounce when it was trading for $7. It was freaking great. Are you kidding me? But by that point, I saw how the empire struck back.
Yeah.
I saw how hard it was to get people over that hump. And when I lost my initial crop of Bitcoin to, basically a keylogger, because my Bitcoins were on Mt. Gox, because I was dumb and I was trading them at $2 a piece. I just checked out for like 3 years. I didn't even want to get in. I didn't even want to get it back into Bitcoin until, forever. And I always thought there was something, and then after that, I had to tell myself there's something wrong with Bitcoin and blah, blah, blah. It was a very, very hard psychological road back to Bitcoin for me. Today, Bitcoin's winning. It's beating all the shit coins. It's beating all these other coins. That's not to say that, there isn't, I always reserve the right to say, and I think everybody should do this. I think this is actually the strongest argument you can make for Bitcoin, which is to never say that Bitcoin is going to win. You say is Bitcoin is most likely going to win.
Right.
You have to maintain your skepticism at last 5 or 10% or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Leave it there, because when you do that, you leave yourself open to the possibility that something better could come along. And
that it's not inevitable. We have to work for it.
Nothing is inevitable. The European Union has presented itself as inevitable. I got news for you. It's inevitably going to go the way of the dodo. And every technology that has ever been invented by man, monetary or otherwise, has gone the way of the dodo and the dinosaur. Why? Because humans' needs change with time. And so that's not to say that Bitcoin cannot or will not serve a massive purpose at some point in the future. Right now it's serving a particular purpose, which is to be a bearer asset in a world where capital movement is being destroyed. You will not move capital out of this political jurisdiction to that political jurisdiction. Fuck you, I own Bitcoin and the keys are in my head. And I memorized 24 words. Blow me. That's power. That's real fucking power.
Yep, for sure.
But that doesn't mean that Bitcoin's like the next reserve asset. There's a long way between that and that. That's not to say one doesn't imply that we could get there. Absolutely. But always understand that in order to get there, you have to get an entire 1 or 2 generations to buy in at that level, at a critical mass level.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? We still have nation states that are trying to lob nuclear weapons at each other.
Yep.
And the one guy that is keeping us from nuclear war right now doesn't believe in Bitcoin. He believes in gold. His name is Vladimir Putin. And if you don't think that Putin is important, if you don't think that Putin is a more powerful player in the global stage than, you, Mr. Bitcoin Maxi, sorry, you need therapy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
just
we have a lot of potential, but there's a lot of work to be done.
Of course. And you should relish the idea that you have the work to be done.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
I remember when the work wasn't being done.
Yeah, at least now we have the tools to see that future.
Of course.
Yep.
And Bitcoin has surpassed my expectations as to what it would do. And I'm happy to I've said this many times. I'm like, look, I'm happy to be wrong about all this. Happy to be wrong. And my Bitcoin skepticism. But I would just go out there and steel man the argument. So why do you have to be a Bitcoin maxi when you can be a proof of work maxi? Because it's really the protocol that matters. It's really the idea of the system itself that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just applying money to it.
Right,
We're applying money to the system.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest ByteFederal ATM and turn your cash to coin. ByteFederal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, ByteFederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log in to any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.